Welcome back, everybody. Today we are in the office. We're talking about all the videos I see out there. Everybody's making at them. There's one channel that specifically that's all he talks about is what's going on at dealers and how dealers are ended and how they're not going to be able. The car market's over, fire sales and everything like that. Now there was a small moment in history, maybe a year or two ago, when with the microchip shortage, COVID, all that crap was going on, and they didn't have the ability to sell the trucks or cars as well as they could because they couldn't manufacture enough, and some dealers were playing wonky games with markups. That the sales did kind of slow down just because there wasn't as much. And now we fast forward to this year, and I keep seeing these videos, so we're going to talk about this. It is basically a myth. It makes for good stuff because people love negative videos. But what I will tell you is, with the current state of the economy, where the inflation is, the way APRs are, so your annual percentage rate on a current vehicle loan is highest it's ever been. And it actually hurts the car dealers themselves. Most of the dealers now do have rebates on Super Duties, tons of rebates on F-150 Silverados and so forth. There are discounts out there. A couple years ago when they couldn't make enough vehicles, those rebates really weren't there because there was still demand, even when the economy was still also kind of crappy. Now, however November plays out will be a big deciding factor, and you watch, if the economy improves after November, I think we're going to see a lot more of these vehicles selling, because at the end of the day, you can sit here and go to a dealer lot. Back in the day when I was a kid, it would not be unheard of to go to a large dealership here in the Denver metro area and have 1,000 cars on a lot. I mean, I worked at a dealership selling Ram, Chevy, GMC, Buick, Jeep, and there was a time where there just wasn't as many cars on a lot, and then all of a sudden a lot of them get manufactured, shipped out, and everything like that. The dealership I worked at, on an average, would have about 2,000 cars on its lot. And it's right back up there again, guys. And it's not because people aren't buying it. It's because now manufacturing's catching up and can keep up. Matter of fact, Super Duty has even went and opened up another part of another plant to start producing more Super Duty trucks because the demand is still there. There are still tons of businesses that need to buy these things. They could use them as a tax write-off. There's a lot of police forces, government stuff that need to buy these vehicles. And then again, the general demand of the consumer is still there. People need these trucks. They want these trucks. This might be the best time in history to buy a truck, because Lord knows what their plan is eventually is to restrict movement of people. And you maybe not be able to even afford them. They raise the prices. Now, are cars at the all-time highest they've ever been in price? Absolutely. This is the highest thing I've ever seen in history. Matter of fact, my 2008 Lariat 1-ton dually diesel crew cab had a $38,000 MSRP in 2008. And now that same truck in 2024 is probably well over $110,000. What I've seen, the way that truck was equipped, yeah, you're probably talking $90,000. So are they at an all-time high? Yes. And unfortunately, that's the way the demand is. But people say, well, it's the pricing. Well, again, if you go to a dealer and they're marking up the price, I would definitely wonder why they're marking up the price. If they got 50 trucks, and it's a smaller dealer, 50 trucks, and these aren't add-ons, and they just marked it up 10 grand, I think I'd probably move on, because I would say my experience over the last even 2 years is the dealers have came back down to reality and understood that they can't do that. It's not going to... People are just going to go down the road. The deals can be had. If you want to go out of state, whatever you want to do, the deals are going to be had. And now that we're seeing rebates on everything, I just don't see that whatsoever. Now, I'm going to show you some numbers here in just a second, because like I said, there's tons of videos out here saying that dealers are selling, the vehicles are stocking up. And actually, it's kind of getting back to the way it kind of used to be. You might go to a lot and they have 100 F-150s and 60 Silverado pickups, the half tons. They might only have about 24 big trucks, but at the end of the day, they can't make those fast enough now because people needed them when they couldn't get them, and so they're buying them as quick as they can. People are, jumping off of their special orders, so those special order trucks are sitting there, and now the dealer has to sell them because they were a special order. They weren't a spec build by the dealer. And so there's a lot of my watchers have actually said they've gotten really good deals on it. So as much as you're willing to look and do your homework, you're going to find it. Matter of fact, last month, Ford had great incentives through Ford Motor Finance if you want an F-150, even the Super Duties. Last month, Chevy, and they might be continued this year, had a 5.9 for 84 months. Now, you might be thinking, oh, I don't want to finance for 84 months, and I don't want to do this. 5.9 is pretty good at 84 even like 6 years ago. I mean, you know, you're talking 4 or 5% back then, and the fact that it's this high now, if you're going to go through a different creditor, then yeah, the APR is going to be way up. So you raise your APR, your payment goes up. So the overall cost of those vehicles, yeah, I think that directly affects it. But the sales numbers are basically showing that this is right on par, pre-COVID, pre-everything like this. People are still buying them amongst all this other crap that we're talking about. And that goes across the board, Ram, Chevy, and Ford. And if you look at their quarterly numbers, the second quarter last month, I think Chevy beat Ford, but I mean, they were all up. So when people say dealerships are done, they're not selling any, that is not true. They've actually, I think it was Forbes magazine I saw this morning, said that although it was a very minute amount, it's 0.1%, it went up from last year. So dealers are still selling these vehicles. They're still selling them in droves. So let's check these numbers out. All right, so these are Ram annual numbers. You can see back in 2005, they sold about 400,000 trucks. We'll just kind of scroll through here. So you can see there's years, there's dips, there's ebb and flows in the car market. I was there once. So if we go back to 2016, that's what they sold in 2016. 2019, even amongst everything that was going on, you can see that huge spike. Then, of course, we had the semiconductor shortage, but 21, 647, 22, 545, 2023, and 2024, yeah, it's a little bit slower, but I mean, we're kind of in a wonky economical point right now. So now if we cruise over here to the Chevy Silverado, this is a month-to-month, so we're going to scroll down here and look at the yearly. So you can see in 2005, 705,000, kind of grows, kind of stops, kind of grows, kind of stops. And a lot of these numbers you can also attribute to, the model year itself getting long on the tooth. Here's Chevy's numbers going up, basically. Again, 2024, we're not done yet, but 2024 with that climate. But if we go all the way back to 16, 574 and 555 for 2023. So amongst all the high APRs, the huge influx in car and truck prices, the numbers still went up. Now we cruise over here. Here is Ford's numbers. Here is Ford truck sales. Now this is all encompassing, but you look back here, Ford is the number one selling truck. So we go back to like 2005, 901,000 that year. We go back 16, 820. We're going up amongst the pandemic. Then we had this semiconductor shortage, and you can still see 2024. I mean, they're not too far off from 2023. But you see the gradual growth from 21. There's a little dip in 22, 23. It's right back up to beating that. So I really think that, yeah, as dealerships get more inventory, guys, they're going to advertise discounted pricing. Ford's going to have some financing. And it really has to do with you guys doing your homework on this. So if you're really in the market for a new truck, vehicle, car, SUV, whatever, across the board, we're just talking trucks specifically. But I mean, annual sales would suggest that, period, unless a model is getting old in the tooth and it's heading off, there could be a slump because people are waiting for a mid-model refresh. But at the end of the day, you do your homework, you go into these dealers. They're not always going to sling Ford Motor Credit or Chevy or Ram or Chrysler, Stellantis, whatever. They're going to try and sling. They have, when I was in the car business, we had deals with other banks. So if we could send the business to the banks, now that doesn't mean those banks were bad. It just means that we would try and send those to them, which means you might qualify for a lower APR, but then the bank is a little bit higher, and the finance just come back and says, well, you only approved for this much, so we're going to go with this bank, and then you're kind of just like, great, I'm getting a new car, so I don't have to worry about that as much. But if you go in there and you can call them, do your own approval through GM Financial, tell them your specifics or whoever, you can get those incentivized rates, but you have to ask. You really have to say, no, I really want to go with this. And unless the bank that they have is going to match that rate, that'd be the only reason why I would do it. And if not, then move along down the street to the next dealership that has several trucks on the lot. But now, like I said, it's just like it always was. You go to the lot, there's a bunch of stuff to look at, maybe not as much as the HD trucks, maybe more half tons, maybe more SUVs, but these dealerships aren't necessarily busting at the seams because they're not selling. They're selling cars. They're selling plenty of cars. Matter of fact, just go sit and people watch on a Saturday. They're selling cars. So this big myth thing that dealers are done, no way. The only way that ever happens is if they all of a sudden swing everything to electric, and that's not going to work for a majority of the country. That's not going to be for most of us people. So unless they come out with hybrids, but then like I said, there's going to be a spike. There's going to be that growth. And unless we run into some type of supply shortage, it's just not there, guys. Trucks are selling, cars are selling. Do your homework right now. If there's any lull in anything, yeah, it could be the few dealers that are still playing games with their crap. But again, if they put a lift kit and all this other stuff on there, it might be 20 grand more. That might make sense. But at the end of the day, most of these people just go and look at an average truck. I got a deal on Loki when I bought it. I ended up getting decent financing because I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. I called the banks myself and got that lower rate. But yeah, it's the economy that's slowing it down a little bit. It's APRs. It's not the dealers necessarily. Has nothing to do with it. And because dealers are stacking up, as we come to remember every year around November, December, these great deals come around. That might be a great time to go look at trucks. Unless you're looking for a unicorn, then it might be kind of hard to find that. So at the end of the day, this is a myth that's going to be busted. But I guarantee that those videos will still keep popping up. The dealers are done. Fire sale. Nobody can sell trucks. There's thousands of trucks stacking up on lots. No, that's just inventory that's rolling in. That's the way it's always worked in dealerships. 100 cars get dropped every couple days. Over the week you sell a couple hundred cars. So you really never see that it's ever changing unless there's one specific vehicle that you wanted to look at and it perhaps to have sold, and yeah, you're kind of up to creek. So as always, guys, I appreciate you guys being here. If you don't mind, smash the subscribe button for me. Give me a thumbs up at the end of the video and hit the notification bell so you know when I'm posting new content. And we'll see you guys on the next one.